London used to be where the money went. That was the arrangement for the better part of a century. But the Office for National Statistics tells a different story now. Between 2021 and 2024, London recorded a net domestic outflow every single year. The people leaving are not moving to other cities. They are moving to villages, small ones. One pub, one church, a post office that closes at lunch. They arrive with London salaries, London equity, and London expectations. And the villages are changing. Let us begin. Somerset sits below the M4 corridor in a stretch of England that most people associate with cider, church towers, and the kind of silence you can hear between hedgerows. Bruton is a village in the east of the county. Population just under 3,000, a single high street, a medieval church, a river called the Brue that most maps barely acknowledge. In 2014, a gallery called Hauser and Wirth opened a permanent space in Bruton. Hauser and Wirth is not a local art collective. It is one of the most powerful commercial galleries in the world, with spaces in Zurich, London, New York, Los Angeles, and Hong Kong. The decision to place a campus in a Somerset village with no motorway junction and no railway station was treated as eccentric at the time. It was not eccentric. It was an early signal. Within 3 years, At the Chapel opened on the High Street, a restaurant, bakery and hotel that draws weekend visitors from Bristol, Bath and London. Then Ossip arrived, a fine dining restaurant that earned a Michelin star in a village where the nearest supermarket is a 20-minute drive. Then The Newt in Somerset, a luxury country estate hotel on the outskirts charging room rates that would be competitive in Mayfair. The car park at Hauser and Wirth on a Saturday afternoon holds more vehicles with London registration plates than local ones. The Gallery Cafe serves flat whites for prices that would not look out of place in Shoreditch. Rightmove data for the BA10 postcode shows average asking prices rising by over 60% between 2019 and 2024. Somerset Live reported that properties in Bruton now regularly sell above asking price within days of listing. The buyers are not local. The Western Daily Press covered tensions at a parish meeting where long-standing residents raised concerns about parking pressure from gallery visitors, holiday lets replacing permanent homes, and the closure of the village shop. A deli opened in its place. It sells sourdough and local cheeses. It does not sell bread at a price a teaching assistant would consider normal. Savills Somerset Market Commentary singled out Bruton and its surrounding parishes as the fastest appreciating micro-market in the entire southwest outside Bath. An estate agent in Frome told the Western Daily Press that buyers now arrive with budgets that would have bought a townhouse in Bristol 5 years ago and spend them on 2-bedroom cottages without hesitation. The people who built Bruton do not recognise what Bruton is becoming. The people arriving do not understand what it was. Travelling west across the border into Wales, the landscape changes. The Brecon Beacons, now officially renamed Banau Brycheiniog National Park, rise above the Usk Valley in Powys. The A40 runs through the valley floor past a village called Crickhowell. Population around 2,300, a high street of stone-fronted buildings, a ruined castle, a bridge over the Usk that dates to the 16th century. Crickhowell gained brief national attention in 2015 when local businesses collectively restructured their tax arrangements to mirror the avoidance strategies used by large multinational corporations. It was a protest. BBC Wales covered it. The Guardian ran features. The village was praised for its spirit of independence. Then something else happened. Buyers arrived. From Bristol first, then from London and the home counties. Rightmove data for the NP8 postcode shows average property prices climbing sharply, rising by over 50% in 5 years in a county where average wages remain among the lowest in Wales. Savills. Wales Rural Market Report noted Powys as a standout district for incoming buyer demand from English urban centres. The high street now has independent boutiques, a wine bar, a bookshop that hosts literary events. The Bear Hotel has been refurbished to a standard that suggests its clientele is no longer primarily local. The old ironmonger on the high street closed in 2021. The unit reopened as a lifestyle and homeware shop, selling candles at £14 each. The Welsh Government responded to the broader pattern by introducing a council tax premium on second homes. 200% in most authorities. Some have applied 300%. But the premium has not stopped the buying. It has changed who can afford to hold. A young couple from Crickhowell posted on a Powys community forum in 2023 that they had been outbid on 3 properties in 12 months, each time by buyers relocating from England. The Brecon and Radnor Express has covered similar accounts across the valley. Powys County Council Housing Needs Assessment data, published in 2023, identified a shortfall of affordable homes in the Crickhowell ward that the council acknowledged it had no current mechanism to fill. The waiting list for social housing in the area had grown by 30% in 2 years. The people joining it were not newcomers. They were the children of families who had lived in the valley for generations. The village became famous for standing up to corporate money. Then it was bought by personal money instead. Nobody wrote a headline about that. On the other side of England, the Suffolk coast holds a different version of the same story. Southwold is a small town north of Aldeburgh, perched on low cliffs above the North Sea. The lighthouse stands in the middle of the town, visible from almost every street. Adnam's brewery has operated here since 1872. The beach huts along the seafront sell for prices that occasionally make national news. One sold in 2023 for over £300,000. It has no running water, no electricity, and no planning permission for either. Southwold has been a destination for decades. What has changed is the ratio. East Suffolk Council housing data shows that second home ownership in Southwold and the surrounding IP18 postcode area now accounts for a significant proportion of the housing stock. In winter, entire streets go dark. The houses are there, the curtains are drawn. But nobody is behind them. They fill in summer. They empty after the bank holiday weekend in August. The town operates on a seasonal heartbeat that is determined not by the people who live there, but by the people who own property there and choose when to visit. The East Anglian Daily Times has reported on the consequences. Local workers in the pubs, the shops, the brewery itself commute from Halesworth or Beccles, towns 8 and 12 miles inland, because Southwold itself is beyond their reach. The primary school role has declined. The GP surgery serves a winter population that is a fraction of its summer peak. A University of East Anglia study on second home ownership in coastal Suffolk documented the pattern in academic terms. The local terms are simpler. A resident told BBC Look East that Southwold is a beautiful place to visit. He paused before adding that it used to be a beautiful place to live. The fish and chip shop on the high street still opens daily, but the queue in February is 4 people. The queue in July stretches past the pharmacy. The town exists twice. Once in winter, when it belongs to the few who remain. Once in summer, when it belongs to everyone else. The lighthouse still stands in the centre of town. In December, it is the only light on some streets. South of London, in the Thames Valley, the transformation follows a different mechanism. It is not galleries or restaurants or coastal beauty that drives it. It is the train. Goring-on-Thames sits on the border of Oxfordshire and Berkshire. The river runs through the Goring Gap, a natural corridor between the Chilterns and the Berkshire Downs. The village has a station on the Great Western Main Line. Paddington is reachable in under an hour. That fact used to be a footnote in estate agent descriptions. It is now the opening line. The broader Crossrail and Elizabeth Line effect on the Thames Valley has been documented extensively by Knight Frank and Savills. Villages and small towns that were previously considered too far or too inconvenient for regular commuting have been repriced by improved rail connectivity and the rise of hybrid working. Goring did not need Crossrail directly. It needed enough London professionals to discover that a 4-day remote working pattern made a 1-hour train journey tolerable twice a week. Rightmove data for the RG8 postcode shows a sustained upward trajectory. South Oxfordshire District Council housing monitoring reports have documented planning applications for conversions and extensions at a rate that suggests the existing housing stock is being reshaped to suit incoming expectations. Larger kitchens, home offices, garden rooms. The physical fabric of the village is being quietly remodeled from inside. A 3-bedroom semi-detached house on a residential lane behind the high street was listed in 2024 at a price that would have bought a detached 4-bedroom property in the same village in 2018. It sold within a fortnight. The village had a particular character shaped by its relative distance from London. The distance has not changed. The perception of it has. A parish council meeting in 2023 received an unusually high number of public comments on a single planning application for a new build development. The objections were detailed, articulate, and written in a style that suggested professional experience with planning language. The older residents of Goring do not write planning objections in that style. The new ones do. The village notice board outside the hall used to carry advertisements for local tradespeople and church fetes. It now carries leaflets for Pilates classes, a natural wine subscription, and a dog walking service that charges £18 an hour. The train made the village closer to London. London is making the village further from itself. In West Yorkshire, the Calder Valley runs between Halifax and Todmorden through hills that were shaped by the textile industry and then abandoned by it. Hebden Bridge sits in the centre of the valley. The canal basin reflects the stone buildings above it. The hills climb steeply on both sides. Hebden Bridge was first transformed in the 1990s when artists, writers, and counterculture figures moved into the cheap mill cottages and empty commercial buildings that the textile industry left behind. It became known as a progressive, creative community. The Guardian called it the funkiest town in the north. That reputation attracted a second wave, and the second wave brought money. ONS census data comparing 2011 and 2021 for the Calder Valley ward shows measurable demographic shifts. Rightmove data for the HX7 postcode shows prices that would have been unimaginable a decade ago. The town flooded badly in 2015 and again in 2023. The floods damaged homes and businesses. It did not matter. Properties that were still drying out sold above asking price to buyers from Leeds, Manchester, and London, who saw the flooding as a manageable inconvenience rather than a structural risk. A terraced house on a street that was under 2 feet of water in December 2023 was listed the following spring and sold for $40,000 above the asking price. The surveyor's report mentioned residual damp. The buyer did not renegotiate. The Hebden Bridge Times and the Halifax Courier have covered the layered displacement. The mill workers left in the 80s. The artists arrived in the 90s. The remote workers arrived in the 20s. Each wave displaced the one before it. A co-working space opened on a street that was derelict 15 years ago. A vintage clothing shop became a sourdough bakery. A terraced cottage that sold for $70,000 in 2010 sold for $290,000 in 2023. The creatives who made the town desirable can no longer afford the town they made desirable. A ceramicist who had worked from a studio on Market Street since 2004 told the Hebden Bridge Times that her landlord tripled the rent in 2022. She moved her studio to Todmorden, 3 miles down the valley. Todmorden is cheaper. For now. The canal still reflects the stone buildings. The buildings now contain different people. Hampshire sits quietly below the national radar when it comes to rural transformation. It is not the Cotswolds. It is not the Lake District. It does not make lifestyle supplement covers. That is precisely why Alresford matters. New Alresford is a small market town east of Winchester. Broad Street runs through the centre, lined with Georgian facades and independent shops. The Watercress Line Heritage Railway runs from Alresford to Alton. It is a town that appears to have changed very little. That appearance is the most significant change of all. Rightmove data for the SO24 postcode shows Alresford consistently ranking among the most expensive per square foot settlements in Hampshire outside Winchester itself. The Hampshire Chronicle has covered property sales that reached figures more commonly associated with Surrey commuter towns. Savills Hampshire market reports have noted Alresford as an outlier in the mid-Hampshire market, where buyer demand significantly exceeds supply, and incoming purchases predominantly originate from London and the wider southeast. The high street looks the same as it did 20 years ago. The butcher is still there. The bookshop is still there. The pub on Broad Street still opens at lunch. But the customers have changed. Winchester City Council housing assessment data for the Alresford ward shows a median house price to local earnings ratio that has moved beyond the reach of anyone employed within the town itself. A property on a residential street behind the high street changed hands 3 times in 5 years. Each time to a buyer from further away. Each time at a higher price. The couple who sold in 2019 were retiring to Dorset. The couple who bought from them relocated from Guildford. The couple who bought from them in 2022 had sold a flat in Battersea. The chain of ownership reads like a migration route drawn in reverse, each step moving further from London, while London followed behind. Alresford looks exactly the way it always did. That is how you know it has completely changed. The final village sits in Cumbria, in a fold of the Southern Lake District that most visitors to Windermere or Ambleside never reach. Cartmel is tiny, fewer than 500 permanent residents, a medieval priory that has stood since 1190, a racecourse that hosts national hunt meetings on the small flat ground between the priory and the hills, a sticky toffee pudding shop that draws coach parties on weekends, and a restaurant called L'Enclume. Simon Rogan opened it in 2003. It now holds 2 Michelin stars. Dinner costs more than some people working in Cartmel earn in a full day. The restaurant has brought international recognition to a village that did not ask for international recognition and is not entirely sure what to do with it. Rightmove data for the LA11 postcode tells the price story. Westmoreland and Furness Council housing assessments document the affordability story. Cumbria tourism data confirms the visitor pressure story. The Westmoreland Gazette has covered all 3. A cottage in the village that sold for $140,000 in 2015 sold again in 2023 for over $400,000. The buyer was from London. Rogan has since opened additional ventures in the village. Rogan and Company sits a few doors from the priory. Henwick House offers rooms. The village now has more high-end dining seats per capita than most London boroughs. On a Friday evening in summer, the cars lining the narrow lane to L'Enclume carry registration plates from every corner of southern England. The village was not built for this volume. The lanes were designed for cattle and carts. The drains were laid for a population that has not grown in 100 years. The visitors arrive, eat, sleep, and leave. The money stays in the restaurants. The pressure stays on the village. The priory still holds services on Sundays. The congregation is smaller than it was. The restaurant is fully booked 3 months in advance. The pudding shop has a queue that stretches to the churchyard gate on bank holidays. The houses around the square are immaculate. The gardens are maintained to a standard that suggests professional help. A parish councillor told the Westmoreland Gazette that Cartmel is a wonderful place. She did not say for whom. The priory has been there since 1190. The restaurant has been there since 2003. The village has not decided which one defines it yet, but the prices have.